Blessings and namaste. Welcome back to my channel. It is Serenity Soul Invictus, and I'm coming to you guys today with a kind of unusual topic. I just watched The Butterfly Effect for the first time last night, and wow, that movie was powerful, okay? I know it's been out since 2004, and I'm just watching it. I had planned on watching it years ago, but with so many millions of other movies that are coming out all of the time, that one kind of got put on the back burner, and I did not even remember it until something came up last night or yesterday, and I was like, oh. I was supposed to watch that movie years ago. It's starring Ashton Kutcher. If you have not watched it, I would recommend you do so. It will leave you with a lot of questions in your mind. It's a very profound and intense movie. Certainly left me with a lot of questions last night. After I had spent 2 hours watching it, which I don't normally do. I'm not a big movie watcher, like blockbuster person. I barely could sit down for 2 hours and watch a movie. Like, I'd rather be doing something with my hands. I'd rather be learning something, reading, whatever, writing. As you can see, I do a lot of writing. um, this movie has led me to question a lot of things in my life leading up to this present day. Um, the movie. It starts where their childhood friends. They start from they're about 7 years old, and Ashton Kutcher, through his journal entries, like I said, realized that he's able to alter the outcomes of certain situations that pained him, that were great sources of suffering for a lot of people he loved and for himself. And his father had basically the same ability, to which they called him crazy. They labeled him and put him in a psych institution, and that was the end of that for him. But as time progressed, the medical community starts to realize now that this is something that is actually passed down to the child. A lot of times people call people crazy, people call people with some types of mental differences, they call them crazy. They would say they have a disorder, this suffering from certain disorders or impairments or ailments, or when in fact sometimes they could not be further from the truth. A lot of times, if you look just for an example, as people who suffer with autism, science now is starting to realize, scientists starting to realize that most autistic individuals have some special gift that the average person does not possess or has not discovered in themselves. So some of them are basically like a savant, instead of what others would call a retard, or an invalid, or whatever certain derogatory terms people use, sadly, because they are ignorant to the truth. These people sometimes can, I've watched documentaries where people, they put them on a train and let them pass a particular like monument or some special site, historical site, or some scenery, if it's like a river or something like that. And when that person got back, they were able to sit down and draw the entire scene just based on memory alone. Like, they didn't have a picture, they didn't have a book, they didn't have anything to look at, they only could draw, like associated drawing. And they would draw almost the exact same image of that place that they went to. So it's basically like they have total photographic memory. They were able to capture that same scene in their mind and have the ability to bring it back up whenever it's necessary. So that is very powerful, a gift to have. And so Ashton Kutcher's gift in this movie was the ability to rewrite the past, to change basically the present. And in the movie, it was very exciting, surprising, like enigmatic, like all kinds of words I can think about right now, because there was never a dull moment. There came to be about maybe 6 to 8 to 10, maybe alternate realities that he was able to change. And it leaves you to wonder about your own life, conscious creation is what comes to my mind. This is a big part of the law of attraction. You know, people think the law of attraction is some new thing. The law of attraction is basically working in tandem with the laws of the universe, the laws of our mind, law of mentalism, all of this kind of stuff, cause and effect, all of these things. So when you think about it as it relates to your life, our whole life basically is like a big butterfly effect. Because had not one simple act taken place, might not have been here. Like a person, just the place where you live, all of these things, the car that you drive, your children, whatever, all of those things could be very well different. Like by one small twist of events, like the flapping of a butterfly heading towards somewhere in the springtime, you know? And the butterfly effect is a term coined by Edward, I forgot his surname, Edward, I believe, Lorenz, a meteorologist, so he studies the weather, and he's able to observe now that through one small slight variation of something, one small difference in something, whether it's like, say, the temperature, you know, it can cause massive havoc and destruction for earthlings, for countries, for cities, for extended periods of time. It could create it all. So Ashton Kutcher realizes now that he's able to go back to these small scenes in his mind. He's able to change the outcome. He's able to change his reaction to certain things, his response, you know, and it makes you think about your life in a completely different manner. I am able to relate because I keep journals. I have ever since I was a child. You know, this book, for instance, like like I've got books upon books, mad books, okay? Mad books. And usually the thing about it is I write to express myself. I really don't often go back into my journals and like look over them. Maybe every year or two I would do that, and it surprises me the way I like see myself back in the past now. I'm like, wow, what frame of mind was I in? And I'm watching some things, I'm looking at a lot of different videos, I'm reading different books and stuff like that. Jim Carrey is now the face of conscious creation and all of these things that we're talking about, the law of attraction, all of these things. Jim Carrey now has shocked the world with his profound beliefs and ideas and statements. People are like, what, is this man going crazy? Like, we always knew Jim Carrey, like, yeah, he's crazy, like, you know, but I love Jim Carrey, okay? Everybody loves Jim Carrey. But the things that he says makes a lot of sense. It makes complete sense. Like he talks about, for instance, energy, right? He's saying how you are nothing but energy, you know? You are energy, but you have a mind, you have a body, okay? And things only happen through this mind to your body. And you're not a human with consciousness then, in other words. You are consciousness in a body, okay? You have this physical vessel to get you around in this physical realm, but you're not that. You are the mind of the all, basically, the one mind, okay? And what is conscious creation if you really think about it? Conscious creation is basically using the law of attraction, using what you have, the resources that you only have right now here in front of you to create or move towards that desired outcome. Conscious creation, a conscious creator does not struggle then with reality. A conscious creator basically is a person who works in harmony with nature, with natural laws, with those types of things to create a reality for himself, him or herself. So just like Ashton Kutcher in the movie, he's consciously creating his realities, and except he's got many of them. So, you know, if you were to just say drive down the road, you decide, okay, you know, I smell something smelling like chicken. You may turn right. Just by your decision to turn right, that can alter the course of your present life, or alter the course of the future. You know, had you taken a left, that could have led to a catastrophic accident or something even worse, you know. So you never know. You never know. But what you do know is that your mind, a lot of the time, is what leads you to certain uh, particular situations. Your mind, your gut feeling, your instinct, your intuition, all of these things work through your mind to lead you to the right avenue. All right. So all we can do is basically play with our reality, because if we are consciousness, we're not the body. We are consciousness now in this body. All right. If you are that, that means that you actually, you exist, but you exist in so many different realities, so many different alternate or parallel universes. You exist already. So it's only about what your mind is willing to perceive now that it's going to move you, whether decide whether you're going to go right lane, left lane, head straight, what are you going to do, right? The conscious creator is the person who actually believes that it all is going to work out for his or her good. Who believes that it's taking them closer to that destination that they want to get to. The point of the movie was Ashton Kutcher basically was trying to get to the bottom of the suffering. And this is something that Jim Carrey talks about a lot. Ego is what leads us to suffering. Ego is what leads us to notice suffering in the first place. You notice some kids in poor lands, they are poor. They are way below. They are like sub-zero in poverty, okay? But they don't even notice it. They don't realize it. Why? Because there was nobody there all their life showing them how it looks and feels to be rich. That's all they know. That's their consciousness level right there. So the end of psychological suffering, basically, then for others and for ourselves, would be to kind of not separate things so much. Notice the part where he's in the wheelchair and he's trying to commit suicide, and his friend, who was in another universe, in another reality, not so much his good friend. It was his enemy, actually, in the other realm, in the other reality. But in this particular reality, he's lost his arms and he's trying to commit suicide because, and he's like, oh, well, I can't even do that properly. He feels like he is to blame for a lot of the suffering in those people's lives around him. And so that's where now we have to come to realize that we cannot really trying to term this properly for it to make sense. We can't really see, we're looking for something that we already are, that we already have. You can't really do that. Like you just are. You just are. And you are in this one-time expression right now as whatever your name is, as whatever my name is, or whatever. We are always seeking something that we think we don't have, that we need. When the message that Jim Carrey says is that we already have it, and this is, a lot of people have come to this understanding now. This awakening is happening now, because energy is immortal. If we are to live forever, if we call ourselves gods, God man and God woman, this means that we actually have access to all that we need right here, right now. All we have to do is understand that. All we have to do is basically stop fighting against reality so hard. Sometimes you see people, this is why people go back into bad relationships with their exes and stuff like that. You're trying to change the past. And that's the silliest thing, thinking about it now. That example just popped up in my mind, because you can only change yourself now moving forward. We know that our mind creates a lot of our reality, but some things are just meant to be. Our mind has made it that way as well. If we say, I reject anything that is no longer serving me a purpose, that is no longer good for me, that makes me feel hurt and brings me suffering, through your mind, the power of your mind, first and foremost, you're going to move more away from those types of situations, moving forward now, like I said. So the past cannot replay itself in your life. If you see something take place before, chances are, like they say, first time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me, because I allowed that, We have to now remember that we are gods already. And this is what brings a lot of the suffering to us now, because we feel like we lack. We feel like so many things could have been differently, you know? And the only thing we can do is teach other people how to understand this concept. And we will help to eradicate a lot of the suffering in the world around us, especially. We only can be the change that we wish to see in other people, in the world, you know? So don't fight the present. Learn to be a conscious creator. Move towards that. Like, think about the things that you want, the destinations you want to get to. The only way that you can be there is to be here first. You have to be present. You have to be consciously present, okay? And that's how you move from point A to point B to point C. A conscious creator spends his time focusing on the things that he wants rather than the things that he does not want. You know, you actually now, instead of paying attention to the suffering, you make a joy out of living. You make a joy out of the situations. There's always a seed of equal benefit. When something happens, sometimes it takes us off course, that it makes us feel like, oh man, why did I do that? Or I should not have done that, or whatever. You know that your choice will lead you to the best outcome. All right. And this is why I asked the question, if you have the ability to change the past, would you? I can't tell if this is 7 minutes or 17 minutes. And everyone looks, I said, to find something that they already have. A lot of the times when you think about money, when you think about all of these different things, sometimes they have to go in order. You know, a great spiritual person, a person who's trying to increase their spirituality and trying to improve their spirituality, usually more often than not, it's not going to be that person who is out striving to get promotions and to make, you know, $1 million by the end of the year or whatever. You have to actually put things in perspective. You have to know what you want first, what your priorities are. Think back about the past in your life. Think about how one small situation changed the entire outcome of your life. You know, I think about, like, say for instance, my grandma. My grandma passed when I was about 18 years old. Okay, and most people say would call it an untimely death. However, nature has its divine order. Things are going to play out. Like I said, cause and effect, all of these things are natural law. So you can't run away from those things. Nothing is a coincidence then. A lot of times people have reached a point in their mind when they are actually ready to move into another dimension. They are tired. They're fed up with actually pain and suffering, or feeling like a burden on somebody, or, you know, being alone, or whatever it may be. People have their reasons, and everybody has the gift of conscious creation. Everybody can be a conscious creator. A lot of people just operate sometimes from ignorance. They operate from fear. They operate ignorance, meaning lack of proper knowledge and wisdom. You know, they operate from limiting beliefs. You know, a conscious creator is a person who utilizes the law of attraction to his or her advantage. You know, conscious creator is a person who knows what he wants and who uses the resources that he or she has to move toward his or her desires. Okay, uses the things that he has within his grasp right now to move closer to that what she wants. All right, so you be there in that present moment to actually be able to alter anything. And this is what the weird part about that movie, because it came along to the end of the movie where he had to realize that had he not been there, everybody's life would have been better. Believe that it's just according to your perception of things, you know, that your reality is created.